Hey everyone. Alright, so basically this is an unboxing and setup configuration for the TitaThink IP network camera, wireless and can be plugged in, which I'll show you here in a moment. Just an unboxing. Now, truth be told, this is the second camera, a replacement camera from the first camera that I received from them. Actually my client received from them. The first one would set up fine actually, but I had a problem with the camera module, which I'll show you here in a moment. Basically, it consists of a camera head and a receiver recording unit, and of course it's got the with the wireless antenna and then a network connection on the back. This particular model is the TT520W-Pro. It comes well boxed. Actually, the box is usually sealed. Already cut that to open the contents. We've not pulled out yet. Basic instruction manual. Set those aside. A driver CD, which I rarely use anyways. Comes with the recording unit itself, to which the camera actually plugs in. And then it has a micro SD card recording up to 128 gig, to which it seems to take and format that fine. On the other side, you get your basic power, 12 volt DC plug-in, and then a LAN connection to where you can hardwire it for either permanent or for the setup, which we'll get to in a moment. So it's a very compact unit. Antenna, of course. The camera itself is actually connected to a 20-foot cable, and the camera head, of course this is more of a covert type camera. The camera head is basically this little guy right here. It's a 720p resolution for this particular model, and again it's a 20-foot connection with an RJ11 type connector supplying power, and of course the to receive the video signal. This basically just plugs into where it says cam, like so. It comes with an Ethernet cable as well, and of course the 12 volt power supply adapter. Your typical type plug-in. This plugs in, of course, there, and it also comes with a variety of mounts that you can mount the camera head unit into. So we're going to go ahead and power this up and plug it into a laptop and see what we can do with it. Okay, so once everything is plugged in, I'm using a crossover cable to connect to my laptop, just to not have to have a secondary switch. The quick start guide that comes with the unit is honestly very straightforward and a quick setup. The IP address for the unit itself is shown here, 192.168.168.100. So you want to set your laptop network connectivity to that, should you be using this. By default you want to 192.168.168.100 and the IP address, and there we go, we've got connectivity. You can click enter and it will pop up for a login, and that login is going to be just admin and admin. Quick view on the small unit. Again, this is the unit itself, the little the camera head. It's got a pretty great little picture, really. For the settings itself, just simply click on settings, go to camera setup. Some of this 60 hertz, just default to that. You can do the stream setup, 1280 by 720. By default it's 30 seconds. You want to change that to 15 or so, that's what I see, and 2 megabits MJPEG quality. Go ahead and set that to 70 from 50. Secondary stream, which is what you would view remotely, just leave it at 512, 288 and 10 frames a second and 256 kilobits. You can play around with the on-screen settings, display date, time. Easy setup, you can change that if need be. For the wireless setup, you can connect to a wireless access point or to an access point on your phone should the facility not actually have one. And that's what I'm going to do with this particular camera. Just set it up on my phone and use the, when I need to, turn on my access point and hit the setup through that way, the connectivity. Dynamic DNS, you can disable or enable if you've got a situation to where you've got the DDS. Plug and play, you can just leave that as it is. Point-to-point setup, yeah, it's enabled. You can disable that if you want because it's, in my instance, I'm not going to use that. Storage, like I said, we get a 128 gigabyte SD card that it does see. I've already set this down to, you can just name a folder, whatever you want, IP camera by default. You can actually have this go to a NAS on the network if you want, using the Envif protocol. Max space is unlimited. I'm setting this to 2,000 just because, you know, for the overwrites, you don't want to have to go back through and, you know, look through 400,000 instances. You can format the SD card. As you can see here, it's ready, 127 gigabytes. Used is a little bit there because I was playing around with it. You can browse storage if you want. This is how you actually would look at the recorded video, sort of pulling the SD card out. And this is something that was recorded, you know, a few days ago. Or actually, this is what we just recorded, funny enough. So, easy access right there. Of course, you can always power down the camera and pull the SD card if need be. So we're going to close that guy out. Some other things, global on and off. You want to make sure that the alarm, which is for the motion control, you want to enable that, keep the task enabled, minimum length of motion, basically just keep it all at default. You can, in motion detection, right now it's set up for the entire window, the entire spatials, but if you want, you can set windows and choose different zones if you want, so which is pretty cool. You can adjust the threshold, basically threshold down, sensitivity up. It's going to record every little nuance. With any sort of fluorescent lighting, you want to maybe adjust the sensitivity up a bit. You can, that was motion detection. Digital I/O, just kind of want to leave that the way it is. You can set schedules if you need to, you know, only record during the day, etc., etc. Other task managements, to tell it to record to storage on an alarm, which would be recording for motion. You can push it out to email. You can FTP alarms, etc., etc. And then there's other tools available for the, you know, naming the camera, setting up users. Again, it's just admin, and of course setting the date and time, and which I have not done yet, but you know, easy enough to do. You can just click down and set it to Eastern time or whatever time you want, and apply that, and it'll automatically update to it. So there we go, perfectly set up. And lastly, the firmware update. If you've got, when they push out any sort of firmwares, you can have it right there. So, you know, that's basically it in a nutshell. Overall, a very neat little camera setup.